So today I've just got a nice, well, a beautiful breeder queen in the post. I want to make sure that she is going to be accepted because I can't afford to have her killed by angry workers. So what I've done is, in the place you see now, this nuke, I had a 10 framed colony from last year. It was just expanding, finishing spring expansion to give me some honey, but they were really gentle and really nice bees. But because I've got a lot of workers now, you can see the workers coming back, I have moved the hive away. So basically these bees you're seeing are a few nurse bees on 2 frames of bees and brood. There's the 2 frames of bees and brood I took out with the queen on, but I haven't actually seen her, and I think actually it's also queenless, but I have to double check the other colony because there's the queen cell and it looks like that she's either died or gone off. But the main thing is I want nurse bees. So what I've done is I've moved the other colony away, and in its place we've got 2 frames of bees and brood, three frames of foundation and 1 partition. In other words, a foam filled filler, just a blank for now, so they haven't got too much of a problem. So I'm going to put this cover on. That's them done. Okay, that's them done. I'll feed through here with a round plastic feeder in a minute because I'm going to need lots of feed. Our flow's just stopped, but I'll sort that out after. For now, I'll just put this back on for now and I'll come back with the feeder later. So that's done. But the other end I'll show you. The other end we've got to sort out and get it ready. So this hive here was the colony I just showed you. So what I've done is I've taken out 2 frames of bees and brood, but I can't find the queen. What I did was I found a really big queen cell, which is unusual. I think it's a supersedure cell, but I think also that she's still in here because there is really small eggs. So I'm going to have to go for it again, but I'm going to get a queen excluder and shake the colony through an excluder because I've got to find her because I want this queenless. But they'll be just by tonight, all the bees that are here will have flown back to over there because the forager bees are going off and they'll leave just nurse bees, and there's a lot of hatching brood as well, which is brilliant. So I'm going to end up with just nurse bees that have just hatched in this colony, so they're more than likely to accept this new queen because she's a valuable queen and she's going to be the sire of a large proportion of my next generation of bees. So I will use her to breed from for the next month before I've got another breeder queen coming from Germany, which is another buckfast breeder queen. Now you might think that this is a lot of money I'm spending on queens, but have you ever considered the benefits of it? Here we have open mating and a problem, but we have to start with good genetics. We surround our mating station with as good a genetics as we can, and we get good results because we start off with good base genetics. So if you don't start off with good genetics, you end up with rubbish. So I'm only really going for the F1s. When they go to F2s, they don't really perform that well, and they don't really behave nice and calmly. They're generally slightly more aggressive and more runnier and whatever. They're just not as good. So I'm producing as many F1s every year as I can, but as we progress more and more, we get more and more saturation of the area of better stock. But only by buying in good queens do you get that, by buying in good base genetics. So I've got, the one I've just got is an island mated queen, and I know she's already got proven stock. She's overwintered, so she's just arrived in the post this morning. She's in the incubator now, and then this afternoon she'll go in a pushing cage in here where it'll just be nurse bees. And the nurse bees will accept her and they'll feed her through the cage. The bees that have been born around her will only know her, they'll love her, care for her, and she'll come into light and she'll be accepted. That's one of the only guaranteed ways of getting queens accepted in a colony. And when you're dealing with a queen that costs so much money, you really don't want to risk anything else. So for me, because I've got these resources, that's how it works, you see. So these bees aren't running around. This is actually a really nice colony anyway. They're lovely bees, I've got no gloves on, they're not butting off me, it's good. So I'll show you in a minute the queen going in. Well, actually I'm going to do it, that'll be later, but at the moment I'm just going to sort this out, get it ready. I'm going to shake, as I said, most of these bees through that excluder to the left and the right of the centre of the nest, just to make sure there's no queen in it, because I'm not sure. It's one of these odd ones where you've got to be 100% sure, so use a queen excluder. The only way, you rule it out then. But anyway, that's my plan, and that's what I'm doing today. After that, I'm off to start pulling honey, and I've got so much to do at the moment. So I'm just starting a bit of a shake, and obviously we're getting drones here turning up. But I've found no queen yet. I'm going to do it with my tripod here to actually help film this, but so this is beekeeping for you. You can't find the queen in the colony, so you have to shake it through a queen excluder. So I'm just going to take the bees out and shake them out. They're so nice, these bees anyway. I'm so lucky here. So just knocking these off, see if we can see a queen. So they're not really running, they're just a bit annoyed, but there's no queen on there. The easiest way to find a queen is just shake the frame out onto a queen excluder. They'll just run back through the excluder and they screen off your queen if you can't find one. Simplest tool to have in the apiary. Beautiful. Check the frame as well. Sometimes queens don't come off that easily. So I'm pretty sure this colony is queenless. The way the bees are behaving as well. Shake this frame. A lot of bees on this one. If you can see the queen, let me know. No, she's not there. Right. No, this is a queenless colony, so I'm quite happy with that. There's no sign of any queen there. I'll come back after, before I put the queen in, and probably shake it through again. So I want to be sure that she isn't there. Absolutely sure. But at the end of the day, when I put the cage in, I can come back tomorrow, and often you see a queen right next to the queen in the cage because they're really not happy and they're trying to fight each other and bite and spit and trying to kill each other, but they won't do it through the cage. So I'm going to reassemble this properly now. It's a bit of a mess on it at the moment. I can put it all nice and straight, put the two frames back in I'm missing, and a partition if necessary. And then I know I've got this queen, this colony, hopelessly queenless, with brood and emerging brood, so that I can put that queen in under a cage and she'll be accepted straight away, because the bees will be desperate to accept her, and they're only nurse bees. You've got to get that done. It's the same as making a nucleus colony. This is a nucleus colony really now, because I've taken it away. It's lost its worker bees, and now we're just dealing with lovely little nurse bees. So just going to check the other side of that, because you never know, the queen can still be hiding in the edges of the frames. But that's fine though. Okay, so that's ready now. Cover it up, leave it a while, check it again, but that's what will receive my queen later. So all the bees will be flying away from here and flying back. You can see it over there. I don't know if you can see that. There's a lot of activity there now, where all the bees I shook that took to the air will come back to this place here. So basically I've created an artificial swarm, to be honest. And there's a queen still there because I didn't put the queen in because I haven't found her. Which is actually what happens in beekeeping more often than not. So the hive that was here was probably going to change queens anyway, but she might have just died. But it looked like a supersedure, but sometimes bees just do the strange things. They don't always have loads of emergency cells, so you just got to cover all eventualities, so you use a shaker box. It's the simplest thing, or just a queen excluder and shake the bees through. You iron out the possibilities and just accept what you find and move on. So I've just come back to have another look at this colony before I stick this queen in. And sure enough, there was a queen in this colony, even though I shook it through an excluder. So she's on here, and I'm going to look away and she'll come back. There she is, you can see at the bottom there. So there she is, there. She's not marked. Up she goes. But I found her now, so I'm actually going to go and put her in that nuke that I made the other side, so that will get away quickly. And this then will definitely become queenless. So I'll put her back in the hive over there, and I know now that this hive is queenless. And I've just picked a nice frame of emerging brood. So that's a great frame. There's nectar stores everywhere. There's emerging brood. I can use either side. What a choice. That's beautiful. So now we're going to go put the queen under. So here we are. I've got my queen and I've got my frame of emerging brood. Now this is really important. This is, if you're not sure of the procedure and the reason why we put a queen under a pushing cage on emerging brood, go to requeening in Vermont, go to my website, or just search on YouTube requeening in Vermont, and you'll see the reason why. But very briefly, a queen like this is a non-laying queen, and if you introduce it into a colony that's just had a laying queen, there's going to be issues, okay? And it's generally, what's going to happen is they're going to ball her and kill her. They may not, but 90% of the time they probably do. It's the biggest reason why queens aren't accepted, is the condition that you take a queen is not matched by the queen you put in. So you have to get this queen laying in. So how can you do that? Because this queen costs a fortune in real terms, and you don't want to ruin her. You know, I'll hold this up, you can see they've been they've been in transit for about a week, so this queen is definitely a long time after she's been laying. She's shrunk down, you can see her that side. She's shrunk down now, she's small. She is marked, there she is, the bottom of there she's wiggling her butt around there now. She's been marked, but I've got to get her laying. So I'm going to put her under this pushing cage on emerging brood. So you go to your colony and you find a frame of emerging brood. And I know it's emerging because there's little nurse bees there sticking their head out. I'll just give that one a knock, I'm afraid, but there's emerging bees here, so I've got a good selection here. So I'm probably going to use this side because you want emerging bees and brood and nectar stores. Okay, so here's my pushing cage. I use this hardware cloth. Got this lot sent to me from America, but you can use anything over here. And I think it's 8 squares per inch. It works out as that. Basically, cut it as that and push it in to the frame. Then the bees that emerge only know this queen, and they love her and care for her, and she starts to lay. And then the bees on the outside of the colony then understand that she's a laying queen, and then they stop being aggressive, because what they want is a laying queen. And by that time, they realise that the queen in the colony is missing anyway, and they're quite happy to accept her. So we're going to take her out of the cage now. And I'm doing this inside, okay, because this queen is so valuable. I'm not going to risk this being outside. If she flies, she's gone, she's dead. So what you can do is you can open it quickly and just do that. And then you can just lift up the edges and then get the bees out, but I just think that's a waste of time. The queen generally won't run off. She can't anyway. So I'm going to open up the end. There'll be a few bees flying around, but I'll grab the queen when she comes out. They're all just hanging over the box fanning, you see. So there we go. They're all just I'm not going to put these attendants in, okay? I'm going to wait for the nurse bees to emerge. She's got nectar there if she needs it. Here she comes. So I'm going to grab her by the wings. Come on dear. There she goes. She is now under the cage. There she goes, look. So I'm going to move this cage. There, she's on the cage now, and it gives me time to move it. So I'm going to move it there. So I know there's nectar in the top of the bottom of the frame. Look, there's nectar in there, there's emerging bees, and these bees that emerge are going to know her and only her. So we just push that in like that. And you kill a few bees, you kill a few bits of brood, but not many. Think how many good queens that one queen is going to sire, you know? So what I'll do is I'll put these bees back in this, put them back in, and I'm going to take these back outside and just give them to another colony, because I don't want to squash these really. These are nurse bees as well, they're not very stingy, and I wouldn't expect them to be anyway. Right. They're all back in. A few running around still, but I'll carry this frame down anyway, and then that'll go straight into the colony. There she is running around. She's actually very small at the moment, because she's a non-laying queen, and within 2 days of her starting to lay, her abdomen will swell up back to the normal size. You can harvest a queen in the morning, and she'll shrink down by the afternoon. So, all being well, that'll be a good investment. You know, you have to look at what you've got, and really our genetics are not that good, so I'm always looking to find better queens. And it's the only way to get good honey crops is good queens. So I'll make a note of this, mark it on the colony, and in 4 days' time I'll lift the cage, and I can't see any reason why she won't be accepted well. If you have, for instance, black bees you're using, you can actually lift up the cage and move it again if you're not completely sure. And if there's dead bees in the cage here, when I look at it in a couple of days, just to inspect it, you want to be sure that there's nothing happened in that colony, like there's a rogue virgin running around, because if there's a virgin, she will still kill that queen when you release her. So you just have to be sure. But anyway, all done, safely in, never an issue, you covered yourself, you just get organised, and you don't have a problem. So there she goes, and then she goes into the cage, into the hive. The bees are a little bit confused now. You can see they're running around a bit, they're a little bit lost, disorientated because they've lost their queen, and she's now installed, and she'll go through the process of acceptance I hope. It's going to get these frames right, this configuration right. There we go. So now she'll be accepted and there should be no problems at all. So I'm not even wearing any gloves, they're just not even interested in me. Everything's good. Cover back on. Give that a feed as well. Get the feed on. Keep those bees fed, keep them happy. Fill up the feeder in a minute. I've got these big wooden feeders on just purely because I've got them in the shed and they're so easy to use. And actually what I do is I've got them on a slope actually, so that the feed always ends up going towards this hole at the back. Just a little thing I do, but it's a great way of the feeder getting used and the bees don't actually end up getting stuck in the top part. So that's my queen under. Hopefully good investment, you know. Just to add, obviously, that I do believe in selecting your own stock, but when you see the stuff we have to deal with, that is the black French bee, and it's the same across Europe. I mean, the wild or feral bee that is in the trees that we used to catch originally, when you see that, you really wonder why you ever used to bother with it, because it's just atrocious. It's a survivor stock in some respects because it seems to live through everything, but they don't yield much honey and they're very, very difficult to work with. So what do? You go with what you know works. But we have selected stock from the bees we have already, and that's what seems to be working well, but we need to develop it by bringing in other outside genetics, and that's what I'm on about today. I'm certainly a believer in that, and I'm certainly saying when we find stuff that seems to stabilise and can be continuously good, we'll do that. But at the moment, we always bring a couple of new queens in every year and breed from that, and that seems to really help us hugely. So I just wanted to clear that up before I get a barrage of abuse saying, oh, you should be breeding from your own stock. Well, I agree, but we do that as well. But you just have to enhance what you've got and you have to do what works for you, because at the end of the day, this has to be profitable. We have to make a profit from keeping these. I'm just learning my way forward in this industry, and it's tricky. And when you've got the choice of paying a few quid out to get a good queen that gives you lots more money in the future, it's kind of a no-brainer. You have to do that. You have to be sensible, you have to be realistic, and that's the only way we can do it here. Our flows aren't very big or long, so we're looking at maybe 1 or 2 supers per colony per flow, and we get 2 flows. And then come the end of each flow, we tend to make splits and nukes. So that's what we have to do. We can't just rely on honey here. So it's all about being dynamic and doing what the right thing is, and I'm just learning that, but it takes a lot of time. So that's why I hope you find these videos interesting, because I'm feeling my way into this as much as everybody else is and just showing what I do. So anyway, I hope you liked that video, and I'll be doing some more pretty soon, but the problem is time. So bear with me if you don't see anything from me for a while. Cheers for now.